Hey, it's Mark Alexander with Benchmark Mortgage. Been talking to a lot of clients this week, a lot about the election and how it's affecting the mortgage market and the real estate market. Obviously, some recent events happening and a lot of things are stirring up. And so I wanted to really share some true data. If we go back in history, when it comes to the real estate market and the mortgage market, with leading up to presidential elections and what happens after presidential elections from a data perspective, because I'm hearing a lot of people waiting till after the election or waiting for things to happen until they make a move. And ultimately, let's look at the data and see what that says, right? And so if we go into mortgage rates, what this chart is showing here below is that mortgage rates have decreased 8 out of the last 11 presidential elections leading up to the election. So from July to November, going all the way back to 1980, we've actually seen mortgage rates drop in the coming months leading up to the election. Only 3 out of 11 where they've actually risen. And even when they've risen, there's really not been a crazy monumental change on that either. So there is a pretty bullish sign of rates moving down when we look at the data from July to November leading up to the election. Now, when it comes to existing home sales or home sales going up, we've seen basically that of 9 out of the last 11 presidential elections, the year after the election happens, we've seen 9 out of 11 years that home sales have actually gone up, right? And so it's a pretty big data statistic to show you that when you're going into election, there's a lot of uncertainty and things like that. But then after the election happens, the year after, home sales actually go up higher than the year prior. So that's a pretty bullish sign too when we're looking at, well, what could happen next year with home sales? And if we look at if we can go backwards in history, 9 of the last 11 presidential elections, we've seen the year after the election, home sales go up. Now, when we're looking at home prices, so not home sales, but home prices, 7 out of the last 8 presidential elections, the year after, we've seen price values go up, right? And that's a huge stat, right? 7 out of the last 8 presidential elections, home prices have actually increased the year after the election happened too. And so I hear a lot of people saying, well, I'm going to wait till next year till let's let the dust settle. Let's wait to see who gets into office and all that stuff. And the reality is what I'm saying is when we look at the data, today is really a better time to buy than next year, but it has to make sense for you, right? The last thing I was going to say is this is existing home prices. If we go to new home prices for new construction homes, it's 10 out of the 11 last presidential elections the year after we've seen home values go up for new home prices. So I hope this helps. I just wanted to share some real data that's going on right now with the presidential election coming about. A lot going on in the news, a lot of misinformation, a lot of things flying all over the place. I know it's uncharted territories. It can feel a little bit maybe more uneasy timeframes, but when we really look at the data, it's not a bad time to buy real estate when you're leading into a presidential election. In fact, we just looked at the data. It actually makes more sense to buy before. So if you have any questions, know anybody, or if anybody needs help, I'm happy to shed some more light on this and just have a quick discovery call. Take care.